Toby, emerging as the only aspirant who purchased the form. However, the NDC has extended by 1 week the deadline for the collection of expression of interest forms for other elective positions. The development has strengthened expectations that Obi may emerge as the party's consensus presidential candidate, subject to screening and other internal party processes. Away from politics, former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi has described the killing of one of the kidnapped teachers abducted during the attack on schools in Oyo State as more than a security challenge but a failure of collective humanity. Obi's reaction to the menace came on the heels of President Bola Tinubu's assurance that all victims abducted during the attack will be rescued. Recall that Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde had on Sunday confirmed the killing of one of the teachers abducted alongside other victims and pledged that the government will continue efforts to rescue the remaining abductees. Makinde, who spoke to newsmen in Ibadan yesterday, further maintained that the state would not bow to intimidation. Outside of Nigeria now to neighboring Togo, where the government has announced the removal of visa requirements for nationals of all African countries traveling into the country for short stays. The announcement was made today in a statement issued by Togo's Ministry of Security via its official X handle. According to the statement, African nationals holding valid national passports will now be allowed to enter Togo without a visa for a stay of up to 30 days. The ministry said the move was part of efforts to deepen African integration and promote mobility across the continent. Elsewhere, Uganda has begun setting up border controls with the Democratic Republic of Congo in the wake of the latest Ebola outbreak. The latest outbreak, believed to have claimed more than 100 lives, has been declared an international health emergency by the World Health Organization, WHO. The country's health workers have already begun checking people's temperature while also helping them wash their hands near Bundubyogo in western Uganda.
After when we had the news of Ebola, we had to first tell the attendants who were in a health facility on how best they can prevent themselves from being in contact with those people who could be having or whom they suspect to be having Ebola.
The latest epidemic is caused by the less common Ogboi strain, for which has a high fatality rate and no vaccine or specific treatment. The government, however, remains confident it can adequately handle the situation.
It is not the first time we've experienced this as Bundibugyo people. It has been here, and then being that it is something that we have ever experienced, I believe that the government has got the powers to handle this issue if at all it breaks out, even nowadays.
The African Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has in a statement declared the Ebola outbreak in DRC and Uganda a continental public health emergency. Other matters where governments of France and Algeria are seeking to rebuild diplomatic judicial ties following months of tensions linked to Western Sahara and several high-profile legal cases. This follows French Justice Minister Gerald Darmanin's visit to Algeria, which aims to open what French officials describe as a new chapter in judicial cooperation between the two countries. Talks with Algerian Justice Minister Lofi Boujema focused on reviving collaboration on extradition requests, organized crime investigations, and broader security cooperation that had slowed during the diplomatic disputes. The French minister also discussed efforts to prevent criminal figures linked to Marseille-based DZ Mafia network from seeking refuge in Algeria. You're listening to Globe File on Adami Mogo 93.1 FM Lagos. Still to come, US President Trump holds off attack on Iran after intervention by Gulf leaders.
You can listen to Adami Mogo 93.1 FM from any part of the world. Download the Adami Mogo 931 FM app from Google Play Store and Radio Garden. Follow us on Adami Mogo 931 FM on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you have eyewitness stories going exclusive to share, contact the Adami Mogo FM newsroom via mail at newsroom@adamimogofm.com. Or you can dial 070-634-03583. You can dial 090-319-69629. Adami Mogo 93.1 FM Lagos, Voice of the Light.
Thank you for staying with us, and now to the rest of the stories. U.S. President Donald Trump said he was planning a major new assault on Iran today, but held off as he saw hope for securing a so far elusive agreement to end the war. According to Trump in a statement on his Truth social platform, he stopped his purported attack at the urging of Gulf Arab allies, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, which Iran has threatened with reciprocal attacks if the United States and Israel end a nearly 6-week ceasefire. He, however, added that he had instructed the U.S. military to be prepared to go forward with a full, large-scale assault on Iran on a moment's notice in the event that an unacceptable deal is not reached. Still in the U.S., police has confirmed the death of 2 teenage attackers who fatally shot 3 men at a mosque in San Diego, California, in a suspected hate crime. Speaking during a presser, San Diego Police Chief Scott Well told newsmen that shooting took place on Monday morning, 2 hours after the mother of one of the suspects called the police.
At about 9:42 this morning, we received a call of a runaway juvenile. She believed her son was suicidal. Several of her weapons were missing. Her vehicle was missing, in addition to her son. Her son was with a companion, and that they were dressed in camo. While we were gathering this information and we were trying to zero in on where these individuals were at, we received the call at approximately 11:43 that there was an active shooter at the Islamic Center.
According to him, a security guard who worked at the center and played a pivotal role in preventing the attack from being much worse was among the deceased victims.
When officers arrived on scene, they came across 3 deceased individuals. One was a security guard at the center. And at about the same time as they were making entry and searching through the facility, room by room, we received calls of a vehicle a couple blocks away that was shooting at a landscape. The landscaper is going to be okay. A couple blocks away from there, we also received a call where a community member reported our 2 suspects in a vehicle, and it appeared they had gunshot wounds. And upon our arrival, we determined they were deceased.
Officers later found the suspect, aged 17 and 18, dead of self-inflicted wounds in a vehicle blocks away from the mosque. Authorities have not yet identified the 3 victims by name. That's the business where Asian markets were mixed today as oil prices eased on hopes of a US-Iran deal, though elevated crude level capped investor appetite for risk. Energy markets held center stage after US President Donald Trump signaled serious negotiations with Iran and called off planned strike, boosting optimism that tensions could ease. The war that the United States and Israel launched on February 28 has led to an effective blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, through which around 20% of global oil exports passed in peacetime. To sports, where Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has apologized to his players after news of his departure broke on Monday night. The 55-year-old last game in charge of City will be this weekend's Premier League home clash with Aston Villa and is expected to leave the Etihad at the end of this current season. However, it appears Guardiola, who is supposedly furious with the league, wanted to delay the announcement for as long as possible. In the meantime, Manchester City's deal for Enzo Maresca has been revealed. According to sport journalist Fabrizio Romano, Maresca will sign an initial 3-year deal with the Citizens to become the new manager ahead of next season. Finally, to entertainment, where Spanish court has ordered the country's tax authority to refund $64 million to singer Shakira after ruling that the money was improperly collected in a dispute over taxes. The National High Court acquitted the Colombian singer of tax fraud and ordered the Treasury to repay the money plus interest to her. Given its verdict, the court said tax authorities had failed to prove she spent 183 days in Spain in 2011, the minimum required for residents to pay personal income tax. Responding, Shakira said the court had finally set the record straight after she had spent 8 years enduring brutal public targeting, orchestrated campaigns to destroy her reputation. To end Globe File on Adami Mogo 93.1 FM at Lagos, here's a recap of the biggest stories. I told you former presidential candidate in the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has emerged as the sole presidential aspirant of the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC. The Togolese government has announced the removal of visa requirements for nationals of all African countries traveling into the country for short stays. Finally, it was on the news that US President Donald Trump held off attack on Iran after intervention by Gulf leaders hoping to secure a so far elusive agreement to end the war. And that's Globe File. It was edited by Dimachuku Ndubesi. Join us at 2 o'clock for the briefing on Adami Mogo 93.1 FM Lagos. I am Ayo Adekeye. Good afternoon.